I hope we're all good. 2 seconds. A few things overnight. Obviously, we had comments come out of Japan, which is once again weakened off the yen, basically saying that they won't be looking to move their interest rates, which is kind of expected, given the current climate. But saying once they reach 2% interest rate or inflation, once they hit their 2% inflation target, that they will be looking to raise their rates. But that has seen the yen lose strength again across the board. How much further this can go, I don't really know at the moment. Given the fact of that we are currently chilling around this target zone that we were talking about yesterday morning, 129.30 looks pretty achievable. Aussie yen didn't really do much purely because of the RBA, the Royal Bank of Australia monetary policy meeting. The minutes coming out of that have obviously caused it to stall a little bit. But yeah, we shall have to keep an eye on Euro Yen. It is a position that I do quite like. I think if we can get down to 27.80, then I think we will see a pretty sharp free fall into 127.20. So we will have to remain vigilant and wait and see for that. But for the time being, there's no real entry points. We at the moment remain pretty neutral with the currency. We don't really have any bias as things stand. Obviously yesterday, large amount of buying pressure. Today has seen a large amount of buying pressure. Given the 4-hour push to the upside, you would definitely expect to see some form of pullback into this 27.40, 27.20 region. So, as I say, if we can get back below 80, I can well imagine that drop occurring, 80 to 20. I think as far as long entries go, we don't overly have one. I think our next best opportunity to get involved will be above 28.40, looking to ride the rest of that wave up. So let's just add an alert in at 40. Yeah, and then to ride the rest of that wave to the upside. That at the moment makes the most sense and is the most logical kind of scenario and situation that we're looking for. With regards to kind of data and fundamentals, there's not really anything out for the euro. There's flash GDP at about 10 o'clock this morning, I think, or 9:30, somewhere around there. That will, if massively different, will cause some kind of movement. But apart from that, there's not really anything going on. So whatever happens is going to be from a technical standpoint. So that break above 128.40 could lead us into a long position. Obviously, the break below 27.80 will probably lead us into shorts. Euro Oz, as I say, we had the Bank of Australia's monetary policy meeting, or monetary policy meeting minutes published overnight, which has obviously led to a reasonable drop-off, and we've seen the yen, the Australian dollar, lose a bit of strength, pushing back up and just getting caught back inside of this range. We're starting to see a situation come into play where we're just very much trapped in this area. So a breakout to the upside, a breakout above 56.10 or 56.20, just to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, should probably see 56.70 found. Just going back and looking to the left, you can see that we fired into these zones before and they've led to that push back up, almost catching ourselves in that little bit of a range situation. So that looks to be what is occurring at the moment, potentially looking to find that range. However, what we can see if we just pull this up quickly is the fact that we've got this area of support that we broke through, and that could be where we are looking to head towards. So 156.20, hence the reason to get above that we would need to get above that region to push back up to 56.70 or 56.80 in those instances. So we would need to get above that region back above that support before getting that long entry. Obviously a break below and a break out of the lows would see us obviously look for our shorts, and for that obviously we are going to look to continue to target 155.50, 155.80, that region, that previous support region that we had around the lows of here. Then obviously from there down further to 53.50 if the opportunity does arise. Like I say, there's no real data coming out for the euro today, so what we're relying on here is just the technical factors. I think it's Friday. I think we're gonna have to wait till Friday to see any real euro data. When obviously we have the PMI that we spoke about yesterday, that is all released. So that is what is going to be the catalyst and the driver for any significant euro moves, if that's going to be the case. Dollar CAD, we broke through our lows yesterday. We were talking about yesterday morning, breaking through this 26.60 region. Obviously we broke through, came back, retested and rejected. Ideal opportunity for a 50 pips short. Coming back, seeing a new swing form at the moment. If we can break back below the 20 level, then we are very much likely to still be continuing on that short bias. I know that I've screamed about this for weeks now, but obviously when we were first looking at taking the dollar CAD short, we were chilling around 128, 128.20. We've obviously now made our way firmly down from there and are sitting around 126.50. So 250 pips to the good already. And then obviously looking to push further and further down back towards that 124.50 target. However, obviously 126 and 125 are areas that we do need to navigate successfully. But given the positive data that come out surrounding oil and the surge in oil prices, that's only ever going to be a good thing for the Canadian dollar, given the fact that they are so interwoven. Aussie yen, we spoke about yesterday morning when we were talking around this region, looking for the possibility of that pullback. That pullback never came. We just continued to see a drive on to the upside. We saw a slight little tease, but that's not arrived. I do think that pullback is due. Like I say, at the moment, unfortunately, you've got two currencies that have weakened off overnight. So we've just seen this almost V shape, like this sharp push up, sharp push down form, and that is obviously not going to present ourselves with anything really to trade. However, I do still think that pullback into 81.40, 81.60, that zone is highly likely and highly probable at some point, maybe towards today. However, obviously, given the fact that there's no real data out, it's hard to see that is going to happen anytime soon or any quickly, just given the fact that there's no real inclination or a reason for that to occur, given the fact that obviously all the data for the currencies have subsided, at least for today. I think there's an Bank of Australia speech tomorrow morning, or like late tonight, about early hours, that might see some push or some drive come of it. But for now, there's not really a position, so we need to hold off. Euro New Zealand, we were speaking about yesterday, chilling around about these regions. We obviously gapped, came back down, found some support, drove back to the upside. Took that, the opportunity for that range trade was there that we had already spoken about. We've then obviously rejected away from the highs, looking to come back down towards the lows. Broken through. Looks like we're seeing a fresh swing form in the market at the moment. All we now need to do is get back below these resistance levels. Previous resistance, previous support, and it is open season back to 66.40. Potential for some big movements there. It's just dependent on whether or not, obviously, we are going to see. I just want to put an alert in at 15. It all dependent on whether or not we're going to see that weakness come into the euro. That could obviously be a catalyst that pushes euro yen back to the downside also. Euro Oz, I'm not quite so sure. Euro Oz, as I say, we just need to get back below the lows. But Euro New Zealand has looked to have started to make that swing, pull back to the area of breakout, retest, rejection, push back to the downside. If obviously we can get back below 67.10, and from 67.10 we'll probably push back into 66.50, 66.40, somewhere around the lows that we have seen through here previously. Obviously, just being mindful of the area of support seen at 66.70 before. We shall keep an eye on that and how things progress. I think I'm currently involved in a short on Euro New Zealand from the breakout up here anyway. So we shall just be mindful of what we see going through this morning. Pound New Zealand, obviously still floating very much around this kind of 92.20 level. Looks to still be of real significance. Obviously we popped all the way up to 60 yesterday, but have slowly started to creep back down. We've also started to make new swings in the process. Higher low, lower high even, and now a lower low, breaking back through previous lows. If we close back below 91.80, then I do firmly believe that that drop further into 91 is probably a very likely scenario. Obviously, we have a small area to contend with, around 91.50. That is going to be pretty important. But in general, I think if we can get back below this 80 level, close back below that 80 level, then we are very likely to see that drop to continue to the downside, which obviously is of going to be pretty massive for us as we move forward. So a lot rides on that, a lot is pinned around that level breaking. If that level can fail to hold, then we, like I say, we should see a pretty significant drop down to the downside over the rest of this week. I do believe that the pound in general could be pretty set to drop. We've seen pretty large moves to the upside that I think could be preparing to potentially flip on its head now. but we shall wait and see. A push back into this range that we'd seen previously, these highs, looks quite likely. Like I say, we are starting to see that. If we can get a close back below 92 or 91.90, then there is no reason why a push back down towards 91.20 won't happen. Gold, very much range bound still from when we were talking yesterday. Haven't really done a lot. As I say, the US dollar hasn't particularly shown any signs of real strength or weakness, and therefore, obviously, it's been difficult to see the pair actually progress or do anything. And until a catalyst comes, I think we're very much going to have to be prepared to see this pair float around this range. Now, obviously, this is still a 100 pip range, so there are still potential trades to be taken in and around that area. Most importantly, though, obviously, what we are focusing on and what we are looking for is the breakout. So a breakout from 1828 back to the upside, or the breakout below 1880 and that push back to the downside. So there are options. However, as always with gold, patience is going to prevail here. We're going to have to be very, very careful around what we do. There was a region, so I just wanted to run through. Obviously, we've seen the pound gain immense strength over the US dollar. Seen that drive from 137 into 139.60. Obviously, the pair seems to be targeting quite heavily the 140 region. It has been a very long time since we've traded around that area. But that 140 previous support looks to be the most favourable target at the moment. I think, however, finding that 140 is very much likely to see the pair drive back down towards the 135 kind of region. So be very mindful of a very sharp pullback if we do see that option arise. Also, pound yen. We can obviously see quite clearly that pound yen, we have seen again that massive drive to the upside, coming all the way from kind of the middle of January through until now, covering about 700 pips as of this morning. Do, however, then again think that we are only likely to come back into these previous highs, the 150, 149 region, before seeing a very, very sharp U-turn and a push back into at least 144, but certainly has the potential to come all the way back to kind of 140, 142. So again, they are areas that we need to be extremely mindful of. I think the pound looks like it could potentially be running out of steam, and as and when that pullback comes, they are going to be very, very significant movements. They are probably going to happen quite quickly, and I think we need to be very mindful of the potential. As I say, at the moment, things don't look particularly great for the yen. We've seen that take a bit of a beating across all currency pairs. We know that the euro is not particularly strong. So we've seen the yen take a bit of a beating, but we are starting to see the pound in itself show signs that it's starting to get tired, starting to consolidate, taking a breather. So whatever happens next is going to be massive for the pair, for the currency. We're either going to see that massive push to the upside, buyers come back into the market once we've taken a little break, or we're going to see that reversal and the push to the downside. Either or, like I say, we have options. We are ready for it. However, I do believe that at some point in the near future, we could see a turn in favour for the currency, and therefore, obviously, be prepared to take some significant profits on the way down. This is how things tend to move. We tend to get situations come into the market where things are quiet for a little bit, and then all of a sudden things go a little bit mad, pop off a little bit, and we end up seeing some massive pushes. So we just need to be mindful, just need to be wary. But yeah, I think at the moment I've alerted 67.15 on Euro New Zealand. I think Pound New Zealand obviously don't particularly like this close, but if we can still continue to trade below 91.80, then obviously shorts to the downside should prevail. Likewise, with pushes below anything below 91 or 92, I would still very much be comfortable trading shorts to the downside. So yeah, at the moment, obviously, we just need to be mindful and to keep an eye on the potential movements that are occurring. Dollar CAD, if we can continue to push into 26.20, get a close around there, we've got that short in play. Euro Oz, a break back below 57.60 will give us a short. A break above 56.20 gives us the long. Euro Yen below 27.80, short back down. Above 28.40 gives us the long back up. And obviously a breakout of our range on gold. But I think that's about it. So that all to cover. There's not really any fundamentals to be too wary of today. The biggest one was the monetary policy for the Australian dollar. That was overnight. Apart from that, we're very much likely to just see technicals prevail, so be very mindful and have your levels alerted. Apart from that, I hope everyone has a decent day, whatever it is you're up to. Be sensible, be safe, and I'll catch up with people later.